Hello, my name is Resilan, and welcome to Satisfactory. This is the beginning of my new playthrough of Satisfactory Update 6. I want to welcome everybody and just kind of go through some of the starting information. So at this point in time, where we're at in the game, I'm just kind of getting started here. I have played through all of Tier 1, unlocked everything in Tier 1, so I did all of the hub upgrades, from the very beginning, that's, upgrading the hub. Then we got Tier 1 and unlocked everything in Tier 1. And then we've unlocked everything in Tier 2 except for jump pads. Now, I don't tend to use jump pads, so these are not a high priority item for me to unlock, just as a note. I will also point out that my order for unlocking these when I first started the game was I unlocked obstacle clearing in Tier 2 first. I did that so that I could get access to the chainsaw. I then took the sticks or the wood and the leaves that I had created at that point, turned that into biofuel. And once I had that, I then started back to Tier 1, and the next thing that I did was logistics, then base building, and then field research. Once I had logistics and had a conveyor and a splitter, I kind of built my initial automation that I needed, and so just placed it right on the ground. I built a manufacturing facility to build concrete first, and then another facility to build rods and steel, iron rods and iron plates. That gave me the automated items here that I needed for doing this, leaving me only having to create the copper wire by hand. So that was something that, kind of in the initial phase, so got logistics done. After logistics, the third unlock that I went for was base building. Base building allowed me to start building platforms and organizing a little better, getting things up off the ground, making it look nicer. That was more for looks and aesthetics than it was for efficiency, but it does make it easier to place things down when you can create a building and put it in it. And the next thing, or the last thing, or fourth thing I should say, that I unlocked was field research. And field research unlocked the MAM, and I could start using things to unlock the MAM and do things there. It also gave me an additional hand slot and an inventory slot. And so that was the first 4 items that I did. Then I jumped back over here into Tier 4, and I grabbed the resource sync program, part assembly, and logistics. Mark II. That gave me Mark II belts in doing that. So that was the order that I went in for the first 2 tiers. And that's where we're at right now at the game. We have unlocked everything in Tier 2 that we're going to. And we are at the point where we need to build the parts for the space elevator. So I'm going to take you through and kind of show you my factory a little bit here and how it's laid out. This is temporary. I will point out, you can see the space elevator there, which we've built. This whole layout is temporary. It will be torn down and rebuilt in the next episode. But this was what got me started. I built 8 generators here. This is the biofuel burners to produce the power that I need, plus the 2 burners that are on the back of the hub. It gave me the power necessary to go through this. I have a capacity of 280 megawatts, and my factory is currently using 96, so I'm not using all of it. We can come over here and kind of see what we're doing here. We've got a normal iron node here. We're pulling up 60 iron ore out of this, and we're bringing that iron ore over here into a couple of smelters, splitting that into 2 smelters, then feeding that into 2 constructors, making iron plates. And the iron plates are simply feeding into a container, into a box. We can continue on around the turn here, and we have the next extractor over here, and we're bringing this item out into this facility. Once again, going into 2 smelters, since it's also a normal mode. Then we're splitting that into 4 constructors, which are producing iron rods. With the iron rods that are coming out, we are then taking some of the iron rods and putting them into an iron plate over there. And then we have a little manifold system here built, a little load balancer, I guess you could call it. And some of the iron rods are going out. 5 of them are going over to go into the box, while 10 of them are going into a constructor here, which is producing screws. So this gets my screws into this box here. You can see I've got some screws in there. I have some iron rods in there. And that gives me plates, rods, and screws right here off of the 2 normal iron nodes. All of that's running efficiently. and I'm using all of those resources. Now if we move on around here, I've got my concrete plant. You can see that I've got an extractor. This has not come up on the platform yet, since I intend to tear everything down. This has just not been moved yet. You can see I've got some concrete here in the box, but I have an extractor. This was the very first thing I automated, and I've yet to touch it. It's still sitting right where I built it at. But I've got the miner going into the constructor, and that's going into a box and just producing concrete. Once again, trying to do things in an automated fashion where possible to prevent me from having to stand and craft things manually. I did my fair share of crafting things manually for this build, make no mistake about it, but at this point I do have all the components I need for tier 1. The base components are being produced. So now we come over here and I can see that here is my space elevator sitting right out here on the ground. It won't stay there, that's just temporary. But we come over here to the copper facility. I've got some unused iron nodes over there. They will eventually be used and kind of be part of what I do in the next episode. But we come over here to my iron node. I still have my iron, some of my automated miners on one of the nodes. I'm not using that. I am pulling the data, the information, or the resources out of one Mark 1 miner. That is being split into a couple of smelters producing copper ingots. Copper ingots are being fed into 4 constructors that are producing wire, and there. So I'm producing copper wire with 4 of these things. 2 of them are feeding around in here into a box, while 2 of them here are feeding into this constructor, which makes cable. And I have both copper wire and cable coming down into the boxes down here, so that I have these for building and unlocking resources as well. At some point in time, I will add, one of the things I'll add in the near future will be copper sheets. As I unlock coal plants, I will need copper sheets. I will use the other resource over there to produce copper sheets, and copper sheets will go into this box here temporarily, to get the things I need in order to build my power plant. So that will be the next goal, and what I do as the next phase is unlocking the coal power plant. So that's a walkthrough of my plant and where I'm at right now. I have picked up a number of things. I've been out on a number of expeditions and picking up resources and doing various different items out here in the desert. I've made a couple of harvesting runs, harvesting biomaterial, wood and leaves, so that I can produce biofuel. That stuff is still being manufactured by hand. I don't have any kind of mass production of that setup. I can drop some of the resources into a box and create a process or a facility that would manufacture those things, and I probably should do that. However, I'm hoping this is just very temporary, and my next goal is to unlock coal power in tier 2 and do that. So next up will be to put an assembler down and produce the parts that I need, which is the objective that's showing up there, to build the 50 smart plating that I need to unlock the next tier. I've also have unlocked the awesome sink to where I can build an awesome sink, and that will be part of the next part I'm doing as well. Building the awesome sink will be, I will go out and find some Caterium and mine the Caterium and just drop the basically convert the Caterium ore to Caterium ingots and drop the Caterium ingots into the resource sink. That will be my starting point, just to get some initial tickets so that I can build something, and then we'll go through there. Part of what I want to do with this series is kind of show each phase and each step and part of how it changes over time. So this was my initial walkthrough. This is an initial plant that was used strictly to get through tier 1 and tier 2. Being able to unlock tier 3 and 4, and then unlock coal power, as well as unlock some things in the awesome sink, so that I can buy some alternative blueprints and things, especially for the building materials, so that I can build nice looking buildings. That's going to become a priority, and that'll be something that's covered in the next portion of this video. Thanks everyone.